Right now on this edition of Sports Talk with Ed, the USC Trojans dominate again last night. Are they for real? Are they contenders for a championship? Plus, we will recap UCLA versus Utah and what this means for the soon-to-be faded Pac-12. All this and more coming up on Sports Talk with Ed. Sports Talk! Hello everybody and welcome to Sports Talk. I am of course the host of the show, Ed. Thank you for listening on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on Podbean. Thank you for joining us on iHeart and Spotify apps. Remember, you can subscribe to our show on YouTube. Also, you can follow our Instagram, Sports Talk with Ed on Instagram. We got a lot to talk about today, including USC and UCLA. So let's get down to the big story. The USC Trojans last night defeated the Arizona State Sun Devils 42-28 on the road. SC is now 4-0 on the season, currently 5th in the Pac-12. Kelly Williams led the way, 20 for 31, 322. He had 5 total touchdowns, including 2 rushing touchdowns. Marshawn Lloyd led the way, 14 rushes, 154 yards. Brandon Rice had 7 catches for $133. He had 2 touchdowns. Ty Washington had the 45-yard touchdown pass, and USC continues to dominate the Pac-12, and Williams is also continuing to show why he should be a candidate for the Heisman Trophy this year. Alright, so that was a little bit of a mixed reaction. I'm pretty sure it was maybe East Coast fans who don't really like West Coast at all, and I don't understand why. I've always seen the championship games the last couple years, ever since this playoff format has come around, and you barely see West Coast teams make it to the championship round. If it's not TCU, it's Oregon, and that's pretty much it. USC used to be a dominant school back in the day with Pete Carroll, but since then they haven't had that championship caliber teams in the last 15 years. This season, it looks like they have a championship team and a possible Heisman quarterback winner. So I think, to me, USC is for real. Many people think, are they not? But to me, I believe USC is a contender for the college football playoffs, and they can compete against these East Coast teams that make it every single year. Now, after the game, head coach Lincoln Riley made a press conference, and he talked about how important it was to win on the road, and he gave his perspectives of how the game went last night. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, for the first 3 quarters, it was kind of a example of how, the road games can challenge you. It was an example of how mistakes tend to show up on the road a little bit different than they do at home. And we obviously made some critical mistakes that kept that a pretty close game at half. I mean, a lot of the numbers were drastically different, but obviously the missed exchange there that led to a touchdown. The kind of whatever you want to call it, the kind of fake punt that was, I don't really know how to describe that, but it found its way into one of their receivers' hands. I mean, those are 2 huge possessions, I think, where we really had a chance to separate in the first half. And were some uncharacteristic mistakes by us. Didn't play very good offensively in the red zone, but I thought we stepped up in a tough environment there at the very end and played probably our best ball in the fourth quarter, which that's what you got to do. Certainly wasn't our cleanest performance. We know we're going to have to get a lot better. We know there's a lot of things to learn from, and I think this team will do that and look forward to our next road challenge.
And we do want to give a special thanks to USC Athletics for the coverage of that post-game conference. That was from their smart and final word press conference after the win. And they put up 15 points in the fourth quarter, which basically put the game away. The game was close. It looks like it was back and forth to me, but it looks like the fourth quarter was the nail in the dagger for the SC Trojans, which again, they went on to win 42-28 and are 2-0 in the Pac-12 division. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we will continue to talk about this game, and also we'll preview the next few games for the Trojans, and also we'll talk about UCLA on their disappointing loss to Utah in the Pac-12, which they will probably be out of ranking since they lost. But more about that after the break. You're listening to Sports Talk here on Podbean. And welcome back to Sports Talk. Now we're going to give you the local junior college community scoreboards from this past weekend. Fullerton defeats Mount San Jacinto 44-20. Fullerton still 4-0. Golden West College beats East Los Angeles 28-19. They go to 3-1. Reedley defeats Diablo Valley 37-20. Yuba beats Siskiyous 55-21. Compton loses to Glendale 42-0. Compton College is still winless 0-5. The Riverside Community College beats Palomar 45-44 in a 1-point edger. Modesto beats Butte. Butte defeats Modesto 28-17. LA Valley beats West LA College on a close game 23-17. San Marco beats American River 24-23. They remain 4-0. Sacramento City defeats Feather River 22-13. De Anza College loses to Hartnell 28-24. Sierra defeats San Joaquin Delta 21-10. They're still winless. San Jose beats Los Medanos 38-20. Santa Rosa blanks Chabot 31-0 as they are still 0-4. Ventura College beats Allen Hancock 32-28. Redwoods versus Monterey Peninsula was postponed. San Diego Mesa defeats Grossmont 45-3. Langley loses to Contra Costa 35-33 in a close effort. San Francisco defeats Fresno City 45-24. Moore Park loses big to El Camino 65-29. Santa Barbara loses to Canyons 24-14. Desert beats LA Pierce 50-28. Chaffee beats LA Southwest College 21-13. Chaffee beats LA Southwest Cougars 62-25. Pasadena City beats Victor Valley 43-14. Your Long Beach City College beats San Bernardino Valley 42-12. The Vikings will be back at Vet Stadium this coming weekend against their city rivals Cerritos College Falcons. Sequoias beats Shasta 40-37 in overtime. Saddleback College beats Southern Western 53-3. They've won 2 straight after that 0-2 start. Mount San Antonio College beats Citrus 42-21. Bakerfield beat Antelope Valley 22-19. Orange Coast beats loses to Cerritos College 35-16 by the Falcons. They are 3-1. Foothill shuts out Cabrillo 64-0. And Santa Ana College beats Santa Monica 49-3. And that is the local junior college scoreboards here on Sports Talk.
Going for the pylon, he's got it. It's touchdown. 4th and 7. Off the edge, pressure going deep. Long for Rice. Got him. Touchdown. Well, they dialed up the pressure, and Rice gets his 4th touchdown catch. Everything but the jump. Yeah. Williams is going to keep it. Burrow in. Touchdown. The second rushing touchdown. Lloyd bouncing out. One big play, and at big time, it is the Trojans answering the bell. Big time.
And that was from Saturday's matchup against Arizona State, which USC won 42-28 as we welcome you back to Sports Talk. The Trojans' next opponent is Colorado. Prime time. Deion Sanders' Colorado team that shook the world at the beginning of the season, but they were dealt a painful loss at the hands of the Oregon Ducks, 42-6. And Deion Sanders did not hold back. Prime, what did you have to say about this game?
Did a heck of a job preparing their team. Obviously, we didn't. That was good. I mean, that was a really good old-fashioned butt kicking. We went into the game wanting to dominate several phases. We lost offensively, defensively, as well as special teams. That fake punt kind of got them really rolling, and they didn't stop. Ever since they secured that first down. Well-coached team. Bo Nix played his butt off. Defensively, they presented some things that I guess we just couldn't get around. We couldn't advance the ball, rushing or throwing the ball as well. Seemed like they had our number. But hats off to their coaching staff, to their head coach. Great job, and they're truly prepared.
Yeah, that's how the expression is supposed to be. He did give commendations to the other team, well played, executed. But between both of these teams, USC and Colorado, if USC plays the way they have played all year, this might be a one-sided kicking again. People are starting to wonder whether Colorado is real or they were just exposed and they got beat by a good team. But in the end, it's just how you play 60 minutes. Colorado came out flat. They didn't play the way they're supposed to. They got outplayed, they got outcoached, and they got out physical, like just plain and simple. They were just outpowered by the Oregon Ducks, and it might happen again here because they're going to play a very, very good USC team that can win a championship for the way they're playing. This is the third game in the Pac-12. They're 2-0. This will be the challenge right here. Is Oregon really for real this year? Can Colorado upset USC? So far, we don't know who's favored to win, but and you look at paper, and the Trojans are favored here. In my opinion, USC has this. They'll win either in a blowout or this might be close. We don't know. We're just going to have to wait till these two teams play when it comes to this coming weekend. And Deion Sanders said what he did after the game, too, as well. Take a listen.
Do the job that we expected. You evaluate players, you evaluate coaches, you evaluate everything when it's a game of that nature. And you had no opportunity to win, period, from the kickoff on.
And there you have it, of course, evaluation much needed before they hit the field again against the USC Trojans. So that'll do it for this portion of the Trojans' victory and their upcoming opponent. When we come back, we will talk about UCLA's tough loss, tough day at Utah, and what's next for the Bruins as they try to win the Pac-12 as well. More of this coming up here on Sports Talk.
Try to be the first true freshman quarterback to win here since 2016. His first throw is intercepted. It's going the other way to Rene Reed. What a start. Rush here for Utah. Feeling it a little bit. It's a screen. There's the freshman Matthews turning it upfield and twisting around for a first down. You could not again motion. Play action. He rolls out. He's scanning. He's throwing. It's a touchdown. Landon King scores it. Green grass, red Pater transfer. Extra point is there. Again, more waving everybody downfield. He launches. It's caught. Carson Ryan. Shutting a defender, showing muscle. Here come the Bruins. He may have UCLA. Both teams 3-0. 2nd and 6. Moore hustles out of the pocket. Drops it off. He's got Steele taking a big hit and somehow running through Teo Johnson. First down. Moore. End zone. It is a touchdown, and Norwood held on this time.
And those were highlights from the past game against Utah. So we welcome you back to the show. I want to thank Fox Sports College Football for providing the highlights. So this game, I don't know what to say because this is a game that could have gone either way. Utah scored their points in the first half. UCLA scored with about 4 minutes remaining. I'll say this though, the defense of UCLA kept this team in it. They could have just rolled over and just played whatever and let Utah run away with the scoreboard, but this defense played hard. They shut out Utah in the second half and they still had a chance to win this game. They had a chance to tie it up, go to overtime, and possibly win it. As I look at the stats, the Bruins offense is basically struggling in this game. They just could not put up the numbers that they have the first 3 weeks, and now they lose for the first time. The freshman Moore, he went 234, had that touchdown, and he threw a pick, and he had a negative 51 in rushing. So this running game really struggled against this Utah defense. Utah played well. They moved the ball. And even though, unfortunately, they could not score anymore, they also had a good defense. They held this Bruins team to 7 points as they had put up scoring points the first few weeks. Now, is it possible that UCLA is a fraud like Colorado? Or is it just one of those games where nothing went right and everything anything you can think of possibly may have gone, could have gone, went wrong, and you're just gonna have to clean up and get ready and move on to the next game. So not a lot of good production for this UCLA offense, but their defense, I will give them credit. They kept this team in it. They had 3 sacks, but they just couldn't get any turnovers, and turnovers was the key point of this game. Turnovers. The one turnover by Moore was the key factor in the game because on that pick, it turned to points, and the 14 seconds 27 was the last of the scores. We're going to go ahead and take a break here. When we come back, we'll break down a little bit more of this game and we'll preview UCLA's next matchup. You're listening to Sports Talk with Ed here on Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Pod.
I'd say this year.
Correct. Dante Moore is a freshman quarterback on the road for the first time, first Pac-12 game in this environment. Do you think that you guys kind of got to him a lot and got in his head? Maybe he was thinking too much about it?
I would give him credit. It's a tough place to play, like you said, against a defense that has a lot of older players, I would say. And so credit to him, but that's a rough place to play and a defense to play against.
We came out when we went into halftime. The mindset was just to keep our foot on the gas. We've been playing our game, and there wasn't much correction at the halftime. And so once we came off after that score, it was the same mindset. It was play great football, play great technique, hustle to the ball, play our culture, and just be great.
You just heard some reactions from Utah players regarding this matchup. And before we go to the final segment of the program, let me give you a breakdown of how disappointing this was for the Bruins. Bruins out-yard Utah 243 to 219. Passing yards UCLA 234 to 117. Here's the factor: rushing yards 102 for Utah, only 9 for UCLA, which is in any league you're not gonna win. As we saw with the Rams last season, they couldn't run the ball and rely on passing 9 times out of 10. You're not gonna win a lot of games. And we look at a lot of key things here. Utah was 6 for 17 on third down. They had ways to keep the football going, staying on the field. Meanwhile, UCLA was 3 for 17. 3 for third down conversions on 20 attempts. That's not going to get it going right there. They even ran more plays than Utah by 2. They had 2 turnovers, which was a key factor in the Utah win because Utah was able to withhold this UCLA offense. Although they outgained them, they were still able to withhold them to just 7 points. And then time of possession, 34-28 to UCLA's 25-32, which is very, very, very disappointing indeed for the UCLA Bruins. But as they always say, that's how they win, or that's how they play the game. So we're going to talk about UCLA's next matchup. It'll be this coming on Saturday, October 7th. They will be off this week with a bye. They'll be back on the 7th of October as they take on Washington State, who is currently ranked 16. And they just had a nail-biter this past weekend. They just beat Oregon State 38-35. So there may be an offensive production here between these two teams, but in order for UCLA to win, they're going to have to get a lot of corrections on offense. They're going to have to get a lot of corrections on defense. That run game has to run well, because if they play the way they did here against Utah, Washington State is going to run up the scoreboard. Washington State has scored many points so far this season. There was one game where they were held less. That was 6 points. That was in the loss to Fresno State last season. So far this season, they've scored a lot of points. The highest they scored so far was 64, and that was a couple weeks ago against Northern Colorado, 64-21. So Washington has offense, and that'll be bad news for UCLA. Their offense has to stay on the field. They have to keep that defense very, very active. The longer the defense stays on the field for the Bruins, the more quick this is going to get out of hand. So I'm very expecting a comeback here. They're going to have a week off to discuss things, and hopefully they can regroup. Normally, going right into the next game is the best option because you're playing someone else and you want to get a lot of frustration out, but they're going to have to wait an extra week. But this week will be crucial in their attempt to win the Pac-12 division. Now, college football playoff, possibly out of it. I don't think they'll make it that far unless they win good, unless they beat their opponents and they stay at 1 loss. They beat USC, they beat Oregon. There's a chance that they can make the college football playoffs, but it's looking very, very deep that it won't. So you're pretty much going to have to play out and see what happens, which is why I don't like this college football ranking, because you have to beat the other team badly in order to get recognized. And so far, USC's been doing that. So, we'll have a different conversation while we have this going on. So once again, Washington State in 2 weeks for the Bruins. The USC Trojans will play this weekend against Colorado, and Coach Deion Sanders makes his appearance in LA for the first time since his days as a Dallas Cowboy. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And another thing on that really quick, I think this will be a good game. I think both teams will come out with energetic. The fans are going to be in it, and then, Deion Sanders is going to be the prime shadow of it. So we'll just have to see how these things go. But that's going to wrap it up here for this edition of Sports Talk with Ed. I do want to thank you all for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to us, folks. I want to thank everybody who's been viewing the show. I'm happy to report that we're up to 73 views since our debut over the summer. I do really want to thank you. Continue to follow us. Again, you can follow us on Instagram, Sports Talk with Ed. You can follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and also here on Podbean to download this episode and our very latest episodes. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to wish you all well, and we'll see you next time here on Sports Talk.